Anthony Charles Linton Blair, more widely known as Tony Blair, was born on May 6, 1953, in Edinburgh, Scotland, into a middle-class family that would come to play a profound role in shaping his outlook and ambitions. His father, Leo Blair, was a barrister and law lecturer with a strong interest in politics, who had been adopted into a family after being born to unmarried parents, and who rose through personal determination and resilience. His mother, Hazel Corskadden, came from a Protestant family in County Donegal, Ireland, and worked as a teacher before dedicating her life to the family. Tony grew up with one elder brother, Sir William Blair, who would later become a High Court judge, and a younger sister, Sarah. His early life was marked by both stability and disruption. His father's ambition to become a Conservative Member of Parliament was cut short by a devastating stroke when Tony was just 11, leaving the family to struggle and impressing upon him at an early age both the fragility of personal fortunes and the importance of adaptability. Though born in Scotland, Tony Blair spent much of his childhood in Durham, England, after his family moved there. He was known to be lively, intelligent, and mischievous, displaying a natural flair for performance and communication. Blair's education began at Chichester School in Durham, where his interest in drama and public speaking began to shine. Later, he attended Fettes College, an elite boarding school in Edinburgh often referred to as the Eton of the North. At Fettes, he gained a reputation as both charismatic and rebellious. He was not the top student academically, but he excelled in theatre, sports, and debates. During these years, Blair developed an admiration for rock music, even forming a band inspired by the Rolling Stones, and he displayed the social confidence that would later become a hallmark of his political style. He was drawn not only to performance but also to questions of morality, justice, and society. This curiosity deepened when he traveled after finishing school, spending time in London where he immersed himself in a bohemian lifestyle before heading to university. In 1972, Blair entered St. John's College, Oxford, to study jurisprudence. At Oxford, he was more interested in theatre and politics than in legal scholarship, becoming a member of the university's drama society and acting in numerous plays. It was at Oxford that Blair's interest in politics grew more serious, influenced by his tutor Anthony Kenny, as well as the turbulent climate of the 1970s, when Britain was undergoing economic decline, social unrest, and ideological battles between left and right. He also became deeply influenced by the Christian faith, later embracing a form of Anglicanism that shaped his personal philosophy and political rhetoric. Despite his extracurricular distractions, Blair graduated in 1975 with a degree in law. He moved to London, where he trained as a barrister, working under the chambers of Derry Irvine, a mentor who would later become Lord Chancellor in his government. Blair proved to be a competent barrister, but his interest in politics overshadowed his legal career. In 1980, Blair married Cherie Booth, a fellow barrister and devout Catholic, who was herself brilliant, ambitious, and committed to public service. The couple went on to have 4 children, Ewan, Nicholas, Catherine, and Leo. Cherie's influence on Blair was immense, both personally and professionally, as she encouraged him to remain grounded even as his political career accelerated. Blair's first steps into politics came through his involvement with the Labour Party, which at that time was struggling with internal divisions and declining public support. In 1983, he was elected as Member of Parliament for Sedgefield in County Durham, beginning a parliamentary career that would transform him from a relatively unknown backbencher into one of the most significant leaders in modern British history. Blair quickly distinguished himself within Labour's ranks, noted for his eloquence, modern outlook, and ability to appeal beyond the party's traditional base. By the late 1980s and early 1990s, he was identified with a new generation of Labour politicians determined to modernize the party, which had suffered repeated electoral defeats under leaders perceived as too left-wing. In 1994, following the sudden death of Labour leader John Smith, Blair ran for the leadership and won decisively. At just 41, he became the youngest leader of the Labour Party in modern history. Blair, along with allies such as Gordon Brown and Peter Mandelson, set about rebranding the party as New Labour, a centrist movement that embraced free markets alongside social justice, seeking to appeal to middle-class voters without abandoning Labour's working-class roots. Blair's rise to national leadership was meteoric. In 1997, after 18 years of Conservative rule under Margaret Thatcher and John Major, Labour won a historic landslide victory, sweeping to power with 418 seats in the House of Commons. At 43, Blair became Britain's youngest Prime Minister since Lord Liverpool in the early 19th century. His premiership began with enormous optimism. Blair promised a new era of modernisation, reform, and openness. His government quickly enacted sweeping reforms, introducing a minimum wage, investing heavily in health and education, reforming the House of Lords by reducing hereditary peers, and granting devolved powers to Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. The Good Friday Agreement of 1998, which Blair helped negotiate, brought an end to decades of conflict in Northern Ireland and is widely regarded as one of his greatest achievements. Internationally, Blair positioned Britain as a close ally of the United States, particularly under President Bill Clinton and later President George W. Bush. He played a key role in humanitarian interventions in Kosovo and Sierra Leone, earning praise for his willingness to act decisively against tyranny and genocide. His vision of an ethical foreign policy became part of his broader philosophy of responsibility in global affairs. Yet Blair's legacy was forever marked by his decision to support the US-led invasion of Iraq in 2003. Convinced that Saddam Hussein posed a grave threat due to alleged weapons of mass destruction, Blair argued passionately for Britain's participation. The war proved deeply controversial, as no such weapons were found, and the aftermath destabilized the Middle East while eroding public trust in his leadership. Many of his critics accused him of misleading Parliament and the public, while his supporters argued that he acted in good faith, believing he was preventing greater dangers. Despite the controversy, Blair led Labour to 3 consecutive election victories in 1997, 2001, and 2005, making him the party's longest-serving Prime Minister. His tenure saw economic growth, modernization of public services, and a more socially inclusive Britain, with policies supporting equality, civil rights, and multiculturalism. However, his closeness to the United States, his handling of Iraq, and criticisms of centralized decision-making alienated sections of the public and his own party. By 2007, facing growing pressure and tension with his longtime colleague and rival Gordon Brown, Blair resigned as Prime Minister, passing the leadership to Brown. After leaving office, Blair remained an influential global figure. He founded the Tony Blair Institute for Global Change, focusing on governance, conflict resolution, and policy advice. He also served as a Middle East peace envoy, though his effectiveness in that role was debated. Blair became a sought-after speaker and consultant, though he also faced criticism for the wealth he accumulated through business ventures after leaving office. Despite these controversies, Blair's impact on Britain and international politics remains undeniable. He reshaped Labour into a centrist force, guided the country through significant domestic reforms, and positioned Britain as a central player on the global stage. Tony Blair's life is a study in contrasts, a charismatic leader who rose with extraordinary speed, inspired a generation with the promise of a new beginning, achieved landmark reforms at home, but whose reputation became clouded by decisions abroad that remain contested. From his childhood in a family marked by resilience, to his youthful passion for theater, to his historic premiership, Blair's story is one of ambition, transformation, and enduring controversy, a legacy that continues to provoke debate over what it means to lead in the modern era.